Welcome to a new series on ROX TV, brought to you by ROX Network. We're going to be looking back over this series at when rock ruled the airwaves on British television. I'm talking in the 70s, 80s and very early 90s, when British TV proudly played rock music on its various stations, be that BBC, ITV, Channel 4 and rarely Channel 5. This was before TV became the cesspit of bilge that we all know and hate these days. So let's look back at the good old days when ITV and BBC and Channel 4 rocked the airwaves.
Welcome back. Time for some more of your requests. Alice Cooper's been heavily requested along with Twisted Sister, so I'm more than happy to oblige with a track from each of them.
We're here at the Four Seasons Hotel in Toronto. We got Metallica, and they're co-hosting the Power Hour this week. Guys, how you doing? We've started.
We're on the air.
We're on the air.
This is like live and direct.
This is like live. Read to that camera there.
Look, we're not live on tape. It's too early. It's never too early.
The last time we met up with you guys was at the Cow Palace in San Francisco.
I don't remember. We don't remember that. Funny thing.
Kirk and Lars from Metallica. Tell us what it's all about here in San Fran.
It's cold. It's over. It's cold. It's wet, and we're waiting for the next earthquake.
And that's it. And what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Are you a little bit of retirement, a little sabbatical thing here?
Over. We've broken up. No,
you've got the scoop. They've broken up. Turn the camera off. It's over. So you're in town. You're in town to do a bill. Now, let me run down this bill. Let's make sure I get it right. Black Crowes, Warrant,
wrong.
Metallica, Aerosmith. Is this correct?
They didn't tell you about Led Zeppelin reforming for
Get
the
out
gig?
of town. Who's playing drums?
That's a secret. Okay. Anyway, yeah, that's the drum.
You're in town to do this gig. You do this gig. Like you're on the bill with like Warrant. Let me get it again. Black Crowes, Warrant.
Why do you have to keep on reminding us?
Aerosmith. So last time we talked, you guys were going to Egypt and Hawaii.
We were breaking up, but we reformed again.
Oh, you're reforming. It's just kind of like Metallica Mark II.
Yeah, it's just the reunion tour.
So why are you guys doing this show? What's happening?
For fun.
We're doing it.
Yeah, we didn't have anything to do this weekend, so.
Yeah, it's a vacation for us.
Instead of going to Egypt, we came here.
Let's get back to the word fun. You're doing it for fun?
Fun.
For fun.
We do everything for fun.
The key word.
It's not reflected in your music, however.
Hey, there are two sides to everything we do.
Yeah, exactly. There's two approaches we take to everything.
No, basically, Aerosmith asked if we would come play with them a bunch of shows, and we are in the middle of preparing for the next record and getting songs together and so forth, and they wanted to do a bunch of shows with them in the States and stuff, and which was a little too much to do at this point in time, but we wanted to just play with them, and when somebody like Aerosmith asked you to come, you know, support them, it's like, done deal, we're there. Tell us when.
You guys are here to host the show. We're not going to do like an interview or anything, so what I want you to do is right now, let's pick some videos that you guys like. We'll start the music right away.
Wow, what should we pick?
Gee whiz.
Good thing we have the script.
We brought the scripts.
Yes, we just made it up in the last 5 minutes. Let's see, Bronski beat The Cure.
Get out of here. Get something else.
Okay. Red Hots.
What should we start with? The Chili's?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my favorite. Yeah. Chili Peppers.
This is the Red
my
Hot
favorite
Chili
band in the last 6 months. He's known about it for years. I'm latecomer as usual. And here's the Red Hot Chili Peppers with Jungle Man first. Yeah, we're going to actually play two.
We're going to make you watch this.
Yes.
One.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, Jungle Man.
On the Power Hour.
On the Power Hour.
Okay, we're back. We're back with Metallica on the Power Hour. And so you guys, you're big fans of the Chili Peppers?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's all.
Okay, we already talked about that.
We get it. Okay, we got to talk about rock and roll and reading. And
reading?
Reading. Do you guys read?
No.
No, you don't read.
Don't tell anyone.
Johnny, one was inspired by Johnny Get Your Gun?
By
Captain Satan.
Captain St. New Jersey Devils.
Sorry, the AIDS of censorship, sorry. It's only a joke. It was only a joke.
Now, this is sponsored by, it was, not sponsored, what's the word?
Influence.
Influence, thank you very much, by.
Sponsored by beer.
Johnny got your gun or Johnny got your
Johnny
gun?
got his gun.
Johnny got his gun?
Is this silly enough?
Now, but do you guys read? Do you read on the road?
That's actually, I think a lot of people have a misconception about how that actually came about. It was not, a lot of people think that we read the book and then got the idea to write the song around that. It was actually, we had the idea of writing a song about a guy in that situation, and then Cliff Bernstein, our manager, told us about the book, and then James went out and read it. Read the whole book, incredible, and sat and scribbled little ideas
Homework.
for the lyrics.
Homework for James.
But it was actually, we had the idea first, and then we were told about the book and the story, and then eventually, obviously, the movie, and then it turned into this video and all that stuff.
So you guys, you don't read? You're not voracious?
I read.
We just learned. We've had a teacher with us on the last tour.
We
went out and read like
on the next
set list
tour,
and stuff.
we're gonna have a bookmobile following the bus.
That's a good idea, actually.
Nothing is real but pain now. Hold my breath as I wish for death. Oh, please, God, wake me.
Just went ahead and chopped off every. Oh, God, please make them hear me. They won't listen. They won't hear me.
You don't wake me up, I'll be like this for years.
Hear me.
How important is actually doing a live show to you guys?
Very important. It's very important.
very important.
The whole day is based around the live show, and you have to fix your schedule around it. Make sure you have enough.
Definitely. What's cool
enough
about
time to
these gigs,
sleep and
what's cool about these gigs is we're only playing like an hour and 10. We're used to playing like 2 hours and 20, 2 hours and 30. So this is nothing.
Not much responsibility on these kind of gigs either. But I'm talking about as far as sitting in the studio recording your record.
Really?
Tell us about it.
You've been around us a bit, haven't
Do
you?
you want to help us with our set list?
But you're sitting in the studio recording a record. I mean, that's one thing. But then when you go out and do a live show, I mean, and you see the faces of the kids who actually bought the records, but more importantly in your case, bought the T-shirts. I mean, Metallica is like, I mean, kids are emblazoned from like coast to coast. Well, every part in the world of Metallica T-shirts and jackets. How does that make you feel seeing that?
It's great.
No, I mean, look, I mean, you can. No, it's like, dude, what do you want? Cliche answer number 7. Oh, I mean, of course, it's incredible, but I just feel sometimes when you sit there and it's great and we have the best, and sometimes it sounds forced. Of course, it's incredible seeing people in the
Metallica. It was the marketing too and the merchandising. I knew about Metallica by their T-shirts more before I knew about their music.
That's actually how we hooked up with our management. Seriously, so they saw Metallica shirts like everywhere, and they said, "Who the hell is Metallica?" And they like started to find out and then hooked up with us. But you know, obviously, it's the greatest thing in the world. But you try and not just let stuff like that, you know, be part of how you think and how you approach things, because then things have a tendency to get a bit contrived, you know.
You just don't worry about it.
You know, we get these letters in from these thrash fans, as it were, and they say. One time I had who did I have on the show? Overkill. We talked about Overkill, and I said, "Lighten up, boys." I mean, I think sometimes these thrash guys take it a bit too seriously. But yet we had the guys from Nuclear Assault in. They said they listen to all different types of music.
Oh, I mean.
And I know you guys do.
Yeah.
Do you think that's important?
I mean, if this wasn't the Power Hour, you know, there'd be a few other videos thrown in there, seriously.
Absolutely.
For good measure. I mean, we listen to, you know, you name it.
We're musicians, we like music.
There was like a few years, like, you know, 81, 82 was like, if it isn't Motorhead,
real.
But then we just started broadening our horizons, everything, you know, from Simon and Garfunkel to classical stuff to, you know, rap stuff to Jason listens to all this Motown stuff and
Grover Washington.
Yeah, it's like in the dressing room before we're about to go on stage, you're like Diana Ross's best hits, and it's like take the CD, stomp on it, and put some, you know.
Yeah. Needless to say, we don't all agree on each other's personal
we hardly
taste.
ever agree on anything, but
in fact, we find each other putting on things just to annoy.
Yeah, I'll put on, you know, Edie Brickell. James will put on what's those guys?
I don't know.
What do they call it?
Leibach. I'm a big Roy Orbison fan, which goes down
He puts Roy Orbison on after the gig while we're eating dinner. So it's like,
Let's throw in a couple of videos. Get that list. Come on.
Get
Roy
the
Orbison
list, okay.
What did we miss?
There's the list of live over here. I think we should do, we're playing with these gentlemen here. Should we play one of them?
Yeah.
Aerosmith, one of the coolest bands in the known universe. So we're going to, Chip Away? Chip Away the Stone, good old stuff, and...
Danzig.
Danzig? The new Danzig video. I haven't
Her
seen
Black
it. Have you seen
Wings.
it?
No, I haven't
This
seen
is,
it. So we're going to watch it with you.
Yeah, we have no idea what this is like.
I'm watching it here.
Okay.
Okay. You pulling off it?
Yeah.
Okay, we got to talk about rap music. Recently in, I guess it was Time magazine, they talked about, it wasn't Time, it was some magazine. They talked about how there's more, what am I trying to say, social conscious, more opinions coming out of rap music than, say, the heavy metal genre. Do you agree with that? Go ahead, agree.
What was the question? Not particularly. I think that every different genre, whether it's metal or rap, they have, which is what I find really annoying about when these groups start targeting bands. They'll throw in like heavy metal and they'll just target all heavy metal stuff. They won't actually sit down and realize that, wait a minute, there actually is a difference between, say, Poison and Slayer, or John Bon Jovi and, Skid Row or whatever. It's just all these different bands that all have their different things going, and it's just, like, for instance, we've always had a different approach lyrically and attitude-wise and so forth, and a lot of the other more LA kind of metal bands and so forth, and it's just annoying that we always get thrown in with them. And the same way with the rap. I mean, with rap you have real commercial stuff, like LL Cool J and
MC Hammer
and all that stuff. Then you have like the real street stuff, which is comparable to like Slayer and stuff in attitude-wise, like NWA and Ice-T and Ice Cube and stuff like
Public
that.
Enemy.
And the reason I'm wearing this T-shirt is because it's the only clean one left. But I do also happen to like this record a lot. But
We're talking to Vince Neil about how they're going to. There's a movement underway in the U.S. about how movies have PG ratings and X ratings and R ratings, stuff like that. Right. How they're going to maybe start doing that. How do you feel about that?
I think if these parent groups, it's like. It's kind of like, if there's an R-rated movie, it's like, that just makes you want, if you're a little kid, go in and see it even more. If you're rebelling against your parents, I got this album and I keep it under my bed and it's got a big X sticker on it. It's like, then when
it makes it all the juicier to have.
Yeah. It's like, whatever you're not allowed to have, you want. It's like, that's the natural thing about growing up and stuff like that.
When it's forbidden, or it's like put away so you can't reach it, it makes the curiosity grow and it makes you just look for it.
So they just slap a rating on Metallica show.
The only thing that could slap a rating on, I think, would be the language. I mean, anybody that's familiar with what we do in the last few years, I mean, we've been pretty lucky that most of these parent groups and stuff have left us pretty much alone because, there's not really much they can get out of lyrics like Injustice for All and Short of Straw and stuff like that, who deal with basically what they're about. And so, obviously, language is something they could go after, but, I mean, that's not something we're going to change. That's part of who we are. And
it's more the language in between songs also.
Right.
We have a video called One by you guys, but we don't have really anything else, do we?
If you do, let us know, because it's the only one we've released.
Unless you want to play something off Cliff and Maul, and I don't know if that sound quality is good enough for anyone.
What's with it? Why no videos?
It took some time to figure out how we wanted to approach it and so forth. There was a few years where I think we were really frightened of the whole thing, and looking back on it now, I don't really know why, but I think once we did that video, it was a lot of fun to do it, it was a lot of fun to deal with, and I think that it'll definitely not be the last Metallica video.
And it worked in a positive way for us also.
Yeah. The challenge is going to be to keep coming up, if we can come up with ideas that are obviously completely different from that one, but also from the one video, but just ideas that, are cool enough to just, different from the rest of the metal stuff and just cool, a lot of it's obviously going to be the songs and what happens with the new record, but I think we'd all really like to do some more vids.
It definitely opened up a whole new area for us as far as videos are concerned.
We're gonna do some more. let's play some at this point.
Kirk just woke up.
Play some at this point.
Okay, the list of live. Let's see. What do we haven't played AC and what else?
Motorhead?
Yeah, let's play some Motorhead.
Old AC/DC with Bon Scott. Bon Scott is like the coolest guy who ever lived on this planet. And our tour manager used to room with him. We hear some great stories about him. Ian.
Yeah, where is he?
Yeah. And what else? Motorhead. Wait, what? It's old AC/DC Jailbreak from way back in like the mid-50s or something. It's like one of their, I think it's their first video from like 74, 75. And Motorhead, which song? What do you got? Old stuff?
Ace of Spades.
Ace of Spades, yeah.
Ace of Spades.
Ace of Spades. It's like the classic song Motorhead ever did.
You guys say welcome back to the Pepsi Power.
What's happening?
Welcome back to what?
The Power
The
Hour.
Power Hour.
I thought you said Pepsi?
Well, you can put that in. The Pepsi Power
I drink
Hour.
Coke.
Welcome back to the welcome back to the Pepsi Power Hour. We're Lars and I'm Kirk, and this
I'm
is
Dan.
Bob.
Yeah, call me Bob today. I'll be Bob today. Sebastian Blocky's in the bathroom. He's going to join us later, I think. But listen,
Are you throwing up in there
Make
already?
sure you wash your hands.
so
He's already throwing up. It's only 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, you can't take him anywhere.
have you guys thought about the new record? The next album?
Giving
We
it some
thought about it. No, seriously, we did a bunch of gigs in Europe in May, and the last 3 weeks before we came up here, we've been basically putting all the stuff together, all the tapes, going through, getting all the ideas together, and we just started doing a couple things before we came up here, which, like I told you earlier, is like the main reason we, you know, even though Aerosmith offered us a bunch more gigs, we really want to start, you know, writing new songs and make the record of life here. And so basically we're rolling on it. Should hopefully be in the studio by October, and it hopefully should be out in the streets of Canada by, should we say it? Dare we say April? April 91.
Any titles?
Knock on wood.
Any titles? Metallica 5?
Is it our 5th album already?
Yeah, that's the working title. Pretty original, huh?
What is the songwriting process for you guys? I mean, like, who decides what goes where?
We drink a lot, and then... No.
We pull pieces of paper out of it.
Right. It involves tapes a lot. We, like, everybody puts all this stuff down on tapes and stuff like that, and then sit and shift through them and get, like, all the main ideas and just start building skeletons of songs around those ideas, and then, you know, lyrics and vocal melodies and stuff come later. But me and James usually just fiddle with, like, getting the basic things together, and then the other guys come in and add stuff, and then what we're going to start doing more this time, which also did justice, is working a little more with the vocals. Like on the early albums, we'd like write all the music, and then we'd record it, and then James would come up with the vocal melodies after everything was already recorded. It's like, oh, that's really nice. Vocal melody goes like that. So it's like we started working a lot with the vocals now too.
Darkness imprisoning me. All that I see, absolute horror. I cannot live, I cannot die. Trapped in myself, body my only fear.
Introduce who Ian is.
This is Ian, our tour manager, the legend.
Scott.
He's roomed with me
I
and Scott.
slept with Bon.
This
Not
guy.
the same day.
I'll do anything.
Me and Kirk are going to leave now and we can interview Ian.
But, you know how, like, these, we played some, like, Motorhead, we played some Bon Scott, some Jailbreak, we played, you want to play Thin Lizzy coming up?
Yeah, Thin Lizzy.
Now, I gotta ask you, like, when you were buying records when you guys were kids and stuff, is
Hey,
this, like,
shut up over there. We're
is
doing an
this
interview.
what you were buying? Is this what you were buying?
This is it.
I stole a lot of
Yeah. No, sure. I mean, I grew up in Denmark, and you know, obviously more the European stuff. Bands like Aerosmith and Rush and stuff were never really that popular in Europe in the 70s when I was growing up. So for me, it was more like Purple, Thin Lizzy, Sabbath, UFO, and obviously everybody goes through 15 minutes of Kiss. And then for me, it started turning into like more the new wave of British heavy metal, and oh no, here it goes again, talking about Diamond Head yet another time.
Well, tell us about that record you were working on,
How long do you have?
the new wave of British
Hey, this is a
metal.
Metallica interview.
Well, come on, you brought it up. You brought it up.
I've put this compilation record together with a bunch of my favorite new wave of British heavy metal songs, and that's it, and it's coming out in July, so buy it. There you go.
When do I get my copy?
When do I get my copy?
So let's throw in a couple more videos.
Okay,
Thin
Kurt
Lizzy.
wants Thin Lizzy,
Jailbreak.
and
the boys.
what else we got going here? Let's play more Chili's. Let's just Chili's for
No,
the next.
let's finish with some Chili's. So let's play Thin Lizzy and.
Wait.
Oh, yeah,
We're
it's
the
your show.
hosts.
Yeah, come on.
Who is this guy?
Go ahead, take it away.
Okay,
Women in uniform.
Old Maiden,
Iron Maiden.
Pre-Bruce. Okay.
Who was that?
Yeah.
Who was that?
Anyway, so we got Women in Uniform like Old Cool Maiden with Paul Di'Anno singing, and Old Thin Lizzy, what is it, Jailbreak?
Jailbreak.
No, that was the AC/DC song. Which Thin Lizzy?
Boys are back in town.
Yeah. This is the old classic that what's-his-name also covered last year, but this is the original cool one. Boys are back in town. Take it away.
So you're going after this show. Where are you going?
Back to the hotel. We're getting a little sillier. We're going to Rochester, 5 minutes down the road, you know. This is probably not airing before the gig, is it?
No.
Okay, so I can't tell them to show up.
So say you had a fabulous gig here in Toronto. It was great. Toronto people were
Hope you like the show in Toronto.
We love
Right, that we haven't played yet.
How'd you like that show? Was it great or what?
God. What do you think of that ending, huh?
So speaking of ending,
Speaking of...
let's bring somebody.
Yeah, we found... There was this Metallica fan wandering around down the
Yes,
lobby.
we got through security.
Looking for James.
Come on in here.
Come over
Come
here.
on, get your butt over here.
Okay, because we're
Oh, he doesn't want to be seen with us.
gonna wrap the show up with something here. Okay, here,
I've
take
been
this
a
one.
good boy.
This is open forum. This is open
Now
forum.
tell us what
Sebastian
you wanted
has
to
a few things he has to get on.
Sebastian's commentary.
This is a little thing.
say.
This is a little thing.
You want me to hold it,
I was
man?
telling Lars about the other day. Man, is this a Shure 58? There was a little comment that I noticed, which was on your fine station, which, you know...
What's called power?
No, it was not on the Power Hour. It was not on the Power Hour, because Dan is someone that appreciates music and doesn't try to enforce his opinion.
I thought you were in the
You
pub.
guys.
Happy Father's Day to all you dads out there who have to put up with you Metallica freaks at home. If your son is into Motorhead and wants to look like Lemmy, you have my sympathy and understanding, I might add. I have a Metallica freak at home who wants to shave his head and call himself Wiener.
It's just something that there's a lot of stereotypes in heavy metal, and I want to congratulate you, Dan, for not being one of these lame people who can't say something to someone's face and has to say it like behind their back in front of like 3 million people. And I want to say,
Round of applause for our special guest, Sebastian Bach.
that's true.
And you know, the funny thing is that he's going to be at that...
Lee, it's nice to see you in the UK at last, and I say at last because I originally expected to do this interview in October of '86 when you were scheduled to support Iron Maiden on their British tour. Why did you eventually withdraw from Iron Maiden's tour?
Because, no, good reason, the album wasn't going to be finished. We ran into not really a lot of complications, but we had a hard time this year finding the right producer for the record, and unfortunately we didn't end up confirming, I think, a producer until August, and we didn't even start really getting into heavy recording until October itself, so we wouldn't have had any new product out for the tour.
So who ended up producing the album?
Peter Coleman. He's a fellow who did, he most recently, I think, did the latest Nick Gilder record and Danny Wilde album, but he has done 4 Pat Benatar records as well.
So does the record have a title as yet?
I don't think we're going to give this record a title. All my other albums have had titles, and it's my first release on, you know, the 10 label here in Britain, and I'm on Virgin in the rest of the world outside Canada. And we're thinking of just calling it Lee Aaron.
So do you think this record will be significantly different to your last one, Call of the Wild?
Well, of course it's going to be different.
In what way? Is it going to be more contemporary, more mainstream? What would you say?
That's kind of a hard question because, like I was explaining to you earlier, like the whole album is just sort of a reflection of the way I'm feeling now and the direction that I want to go in now. I mean, it's definitely, there's growth there from the last record. I think it's quite a few light years above the last record as far as the quality of songwriting. I think there's much better material on this record. We've added a keyboard player, which, of course, some people will see as being more mainstream. However, the music really, I think, still has an edge. If anything, I think it's just, rather than being hardcore sort of metal. It's just more in the rock and roll vein, you know.
So have you been working with any outside writers on this album?
Yeah, actually we worked with quite a few people. We co-wrote 3 tracks on the record with Jolene Turner, which was great fun. Believe me, he's a fun guy to work with.
He used to be in Rainbow, didn't he, Jolene? And now he's a solo artist, I understand.
You know that. Yeah, he's doing a solo thing. Actually, I think he's working on his 2nd solo album right now.
Right.
And some material of which I heard when I was down in New York
Good
working
stuff,
with him.
good.
Oh, great stuff, of course. I mean,
Good for Joe,
Joe
yeah.
could sing Mary Had a Little Lamb and it would sound great.
And he can certainly talk as well. He knows how to talk, that boy, doesn't he?
Yes, he sure does.
Okay, so writing with him, who else?
We also did some writing with a couple of people that you probably don't know. Staff writer for Chapel, a guy named David Roberts. He actually had a record out in Canada a few years ago that did reasonably well for him. He's he's sort of a pop writer, but it was fun working with him because it was a good experience for him as well, working with, you know, artists that are used to writing hard rock material as well. And we did some writing with a fellow out of New York named Mark Ribler, and we also wrote a ballad with Dan Hill.
So there's going to be a ballad on the record then?
Oh yeah, definitely.
How many tracks will there be altogether on the album?
On the actual album that's released here in Britain, there's 9 tracks. There will be 11 tracks on the CD and the cassette. And there will be 11 tracks on the record in Canada and probably the States as well.
Okay, we can talk more about the album in a moment.
Okay.
Let's see some Lee Aaron live now, and this was filmed at the Dominion in London. Lee Aaron live. You're watching The Power Hour, and I'm talking to Lee Aaron at the moment. Now, in the first part of the interview, we discussed the forthcoming Lee Aaron album, but let's get a bit more general here, and I'd like to ask you, do you think that, on the whole, your career has been helped or hindered by the fact that you're a female?
Oh, the famous question.
That's a big question.
I get asked this so often.
You should have a good answer then.
It's so hard to say, though. I mean, in some respects, I would imagine that being a female and choosing the field of music that I've chosen to go to, you know, the harder rock field, there are some people who laugh at you and don't take you seriously, and then there's some people that, because you're a female, are anxious to help you out in any way they can. I really don't see it as a hindrance or an advantage. I think that it's just as hard for me as it is for any other, you know, young artist out there trying to break into, you know, the big time, I suppose.
So you want to be thought of just as a vocalist rather than a female vocalist?
Well, people can think of me any way they choose, really. But I just always try to keep in mind that, you know, I think I've worked just as hard as anyone else out there, trying to, you know, and toured as hard and, you know, worked as hard in the studio as anyone else out there trying to you know, break their career in a big way. And I think the bottom line is you just have to be as good as you possibly can. You know, and perhaps in some ways, I think being a woman, you have to be even a little bit better to get taken seriously.
When you're on stage, though, do you emphasise the fact that you're a woman in the same way that, say, Dave Lee Roth emphasises the fact that he's a man?
What a man!
I don't mean you wear the same sort. I don't mean you wear the same sort of trousers as Dave Lee Roth.
I mean, I really don't think about it when I'm up there. I mean, you just do what you do. I mean, I'm sure David Lee Roth doesn't sit at home going, you know, I'm gonna do this next week because, you know, I think David Lee Roth is just himself. I'm just myself when I go on stage. I'm not trying to overemphasize the fact that I am a woman.
Yes, we had noticed.
You know, and it's obviously it's going to come across that I am a woman when I get on stage. I mean, it's not something that I'm trying to play on. It's just something that I am.
Okay, we've talked about what you do on stage. What about off stage, when you're not playing or recording? What do you do to relax? Apart from doing interviews.
Shall we bring up camping again? No.
Let's mention camping. You do like to go camping.
No,
that is true.
On very rare occasion. I don't really get an opportunity to do it that much. But I mean, you know, it's great, I think, every once in a while to just be able to get away. It's such a change from the city life, the fast-paced, you know, interviews, tour buses, you know, and just to get away and, you know, out in a tent for a week and, you know, let your hair down, not have to worry about looking good for anybody except yourself, you know, and, you know, I like to do that.
Well, I also know that you like to smash plates in Greek restaurants. I can personally vouch for that.
You can you?
Oh, I can indeed.
Yes, well, yeah, we pop up to Panos's in Chiswick every once in a while, giving them a heavy plug here.
So when do you think we'll see you back on the road in Europe, to get sensible again for a moment, briefly?
I believe that we're starting to tour. The album is going to be released sometime mid-February in Canada and in Britain, and we're starting a warm-up tour in Canada. It's late February, and we're hoping to be over here by mid-April of next year. Starting in Germany, hopefully then coming up to Britain. I'm looking forward to coming back. I always enjoy myself smashing plates and whatnot.
Going camping, possibly, we shall see when you get back.
With Dave Dixon.
The strange men are waving their arms, so we have to finish. But finally, I must ask you one question. There was a rumour going around that you'd actually become pregnant a while back. And,
oh my God.
Just briefly, how did that happen?
I can't be brief about this. This is quite funny. I was doing an interview when I was in Vancouver with the affiliated people with Much Music out there for the Vancouver end, and it was near Thanksgiving, Halloween time, and they thought, let's do something really different. So I got together with a fellow named Terry David Mulligan, who was doing the interview. I'm trying to make this as quick as I can.
You're doing well.
And we thought, okay, let's do something totally different. Let's interview Lee Aaron and let's bake a pumpkin pie at the same time. So we got on TV and we cleaned up this pumpkin and whatnot. So anyway, they were planning on showing this segment on Much Music. And so, of course, a little in-joke in the office, they thought, let's be funny. To preview the program that was coming up, they said, everyone stick around, at 5 o'clock because we've got a special coming up. Lee Aaron's got something in the oven. And all of a sudden, people that didn't stick around to watch the program, all these rumors started floating around that I was having a baby. But anyway, that's how it ended up. And it was a pumpkin pie, folks, just for all concerned.
Well,
I can't believe that people over here...
We know everything here, and
I
hope there'll be no misunderstanding out of this interview. I'm sure people watch this from the beginning right through to the very end.
I hope so.
And we have come to the end, so thanks, Lee Aaron, for stopping by, and we can finish
It was a lot of fun.
Some more of Lee Aaron film, and this is again from the Dominion. Here she is, Lee Aaron.
Video and the new single from Black Sabbath off their new record called Dehumanizer, and that's Ronnie James Dio singing. You all know him. He's the guy with the enormous lungs and not a bad golfer. Here we are standing in front of a famous Hollywood sign where not a week ago some infamous, small-minded, selfish bastard crucified himself, hoisted himself up for all the world to see. They took him down, they booked him, and it's over now.
But anyway, this next video, it's Dio from the Best of Dio. It's called Diamonds, and we're going to see that now.
It's called Hungry for Heaven. This video is from Def Leppard, and they're out on the road with Gunn. And here's Joe Elliott with his sensitive portrayal called
Make Love Like a Man.
Ah! Droogies, boozers, strumpets and losers. What a fabulous day. Sort of day you walk up to an American police officer and ask him for his autograph and then say, what happened to the rest of the village people? Ha! Hope you enjoyed that fabulous video from Offspring. And of course that was called Come Out and Play. Yes, we have the Keeper of the Gates of Hell, Bullseye, is with us this week, and I have some hideous rumours. Yes, apparently there's a rumour going about that Duff has been fired from Guns N' Roses, and Dave Tregunner, who used to be with Sham 69 and Kill City Dragon and Lords of the New Church, is replacing him. Well, we have found out it is total dog bottom droppings. And, but we do know that Slash is looking for a vocalist for his band. Apparently he's got it down to 5 names, and one of those names happens to be a Choir Boys vocalist. I wonder who that would be. Spike that news. Dave Lee Roth played in LA recently, and a reviewer said afterward he used to be the greatest entertainer in rock, and he's now the most unimaginative person in music. Isn't that sad? Well, it's true though. Look at these. Look at these. I'll be telling you about those in a second, because first of all I want to tell you that Bugs and Drugs, number 4. We've waited 6 months for it. It's out. 10 pounds of hogwash in a 5-pound sack. We love it. Best value of 75p in this country going at the moment. We're going to keep that. There you go, Bullseye. Something happening on Saturday, September the 3rd at the Willen Bowl in Milton Keynes, and only a £5 to get into this. It's Skyclad, Killers, Voodoo Sue, Rebecca, Truth and Asia, Mad Cow Disease. Do we like Mad Cow Disease? Gearbox, Roadhouse 69, plus special guests from the USA, who I believe are Nuclear Assault. Well worth going to, that one indeed. And well worth going into Mummy's purse, getting all those crinkly bits of paper for, is a new Curb Dog single called Dummy Crusher with a K. Superb. La Costa Rasa, Autopilot, 9 Inch Nails meet the Almighty, or Ministry, or actually La Costa Rasa. The Joeys, Welcome to Reality, bit of punk sort of rock type thing there, we like that. Oh, we love this. Killing Joke, Pandemonium, don't think it's out till July the 25th, but that's not long. God, well worth it. And look, Annihilator, Bag of Tricks, 75 minutes of previously unavailable and rare material. It's all on here, this is fantastic. And we have got loads of these to give away, as well as these two fabulous things. So 2 really good winners this week, and loads of lucky people will be getting this. Details are coming up, as I say, in the next video, which just happens to be Alice in Hell. Here's a little bit of that, you see. Oh, listen to the sound of that. But on this one, we have a bit of Killing Joke and Pandemonium. Mental, eh? Mental. Till next week. Rock hard, rock heavy, rock animal! He's alive!
Next up, we talk to Nikki and Richie from the Manic Street Preachers just before their gig at the Corn Exchange in Cambridge.
This is one I've been looking forward to, Anne.
I bet you have. Yes.
I think our live performances are always, enthusiastic and exciting and entertaining. As far as anything else goes, I think there's a heavy dose of cynicism has entered our lives, but I think that happens with most British bands. Only American bands sort of keep going, saying, hey, yeah, I'm having a great time, how do you feel? And British bands are always prone to introspection, I think.
I mean, in that Metallica video when Jason Newsted goes, oh, the bass playing did a lot for my personal self-esteem and self-worth, I feel a good person. Like a British person would never say that. I mean, never, it just would not enter his head, you just feel too silly. I think that's the problem all British bands have got, really. They take a piss at themselves too much. So what we do all day, and sort of most of the people can't understand that.
One thing about us is that when we said so many things at the start, we still think we've got so much to fulfill, musically, artistically, and commercially, I suppose.
Lyrically.
All those things we've yet to fulfill totally, so it's always something driving you on.
I think the only integrity should be your songs and your lyrics, and everything else is just not worth worrying about. I mean, the minute you sign a record contract, there's going to be aspects of your life that you are disappointed with.
But we've done interviews with Nobby the Sheep. You can't retain much integrity when you do things like that, but you just think, well, there's no point being snobbish about these things.
With the record company, we decided we wanted to do the album, where we wanted to do it, what the single should be. And I think that's all that matters, really. I think it's worrying if a band gets dictated to a record company about who they use, what they sound like, what clothes they gotta wear. That's when your integrity is really shattered. Everything else, I'm not really worried about. But the day they start doing that,
every bit of music and every lyric and every bit of artwork is always controlled by us, and that's where our integrity lies.
Nothing else matters.
When you're in a band, is that sometimes you see a lot of perfection and contentment in very simple lives where you come from. People are genuinely happy gardening or, totally simple pleasures. I just think there's such an old generation now that I find every young person seems to be very ill at ease with that sort of lifestyle. It doesn't seem to have the discipline.
In the last 3-4 months, there's been so much criticism of Philip Larkin, in the liberal media, just condemning him completely as a person. I think he's a fantastic man. I think his life was absolutely, fantastic. And if I could have had that sort of lifestyle, I would have chosen that over being in a band any day. I think he's like a genius, and I think he found the most satisfactory form of life. It all depends on the interviewer, really, I think.
And also, I think it's always difficult with us because we have got so much to say that it usually just turns into, a discussion, a discourse on modern life. And the majority of bands you're interested in are much more interested in talking about their wah-wah pedal, and sometimes, especially with me and Richie, we haven't got much interest in talking about things like that.
I mean, a lot of the interviews we do, they never talk about the songs or the music at all. It's just never even mentioned. And most of the bands, that's all they do is like, you know, second song on the album is really good. We got a great effects pedal in, and it's really exciting. It's just like fantastic.
And unfortunately, James and Sean ain't doing interviews, so I didn't get to talk about it.
No.
That's just the hazards, one of the hazards of being in a rock band.
Yeah. Nothing material. Yeah, fuck it. I got my fingers. Okay. Do you get on with your parents? They're both dead. My mom just died about 7 weeks ago. It's okay. My father died when I was about 17. My mom just died a little while ago. And I had a great relationship with my mother. She saw me get sober and become successful in music. She watched me get successful and become a serious drug addict, and then she saw me come out of it. And I was sober for over 100 days when she died. And that's basically what gift I could ever give. I took her, she was born in Germany, in Essen, and I brought her over there when we toured before, and you know, I bought her a car, I took her to Hawaii, sent her money every week to live off of and stuff like that, because I figured, you know what, she supported me. Yeah. You know, now that she's retired and she has no money, my mom was a cleaning woman. I come from a very, very low income family. My mom and dad were divorced, and she had to clean toilets to make, you know, payments to keep us fed and a roof over our house and stuff like that. And the fucked up thing about it all is that a lot of people don't realize that, you know, coming from that low income family, that I really appreciate what I have right now. You know, granted, I snorted over $1 million in the past 5 years, but, you know, that was my disease. And I think right now that if I had it all over to do again, I would have done it. I don't think I would have gotten as carried away, because now I'm a little bit aware of what's going on. You know, I didn't realize what my problems are. But I think that my relationship with my family's been very, very much so healed, and it's rejuvenated with me getting sober.
Well, James, you're back, but you're in a different band at Donington.
Another Donington,
another
band. It feels the same in a strange way, but actually it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So how did the gig go? Because I didn't get out the front. It sounded
It was good. Oh, it sounded like shit for us, but it was a lot of fun to play anyway.
Yeah.
It's a monitor thing, but don't worry about that because it was fun anyway.
So you're having a good day anyway then?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Just out sort of chatting and drinking?
This is Snake Pit's last gig that we'll be playing for quite some time, and it's kind of special in a way because we were finishing up the tour and we're going, well, how do we punctuate it? And all of a sudden we run into Lars, and Lars goes, why don't you come and play Donington with us? And we're going, well, that's a punctuation. Let's do that one. All right.
Brilliant. So
Yeah.
what are you going to do now then if this is the last one?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Slash and me and Brian, we've been sitting in the studio playing, doing songs and stuff like that. And I guess when that dwindles, we'll finally get a Guns N' Roses record or something like that. But, I mean, that's about it. We're just wasting a little time having some fun.
You're not going to go ahead and join another band or anything?
Well, I don't know. Who you got?
Okay, well, thanks for talking to us anyway.
Thank you
James.
very much.
Okay, thanks.
Keep him off the trail. He keeps
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
The main man, Lars.
Where?
Just here.
Oh,
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm like great. This is like so cool. Everybody's in a good mood. Look, the sun is out, and it's like.
He's happy.
No, I am.
He's
We had a
happy.
great sound check yesterday. The whole day's going great. Even the guys from Slayer are in a good mood. That's how good things are up here. Even the guys from Slayer are walking around smiling. Wow, something's gonna happen pretty soon. Like all of a sudden, like the darkest thundercloud's gonna come over.
Well, I think last time you played, that actually happened.
That's it. I'm sure it will happen, but right now I'm in a terrific mood.
That's excellent to hear.
You look good.
Thank you.
Okay, he looks
Clean
good.
living, clean living. Just say no, but
Right.
still say no thank you. Manners never hurt. Now, you look.
Say no thanks to alcohol-free beer. Is that what you meant?
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
You're looking forward to tonight?
Yeah. I mean, we've had a great week. We've been in London for about a week. As you know, we played a little club gig for all the members of the
LA2.
fan club down on Wednesday. It went better than I could have dreamed. We hadn't played live for about 13 months, and so we got that one out of the way. It went great, and everything is just lined up so good. Let's get going. You know, come on.
I'm going to
Wanna
let
play
you
right now.
I'm going to let you go, Lars. Thanks very much for
Okay,
taking
man.
a
Good
minute out
seeing
to
you
talk
again,
to us. You too.
Well, that's it, Crusher. Another Donington is done.
Not just another Donington, it was farewell bullseye.
I know, that was very sad indeed.
Going to make a splendid hat, though.
Yes, nice for the winter. Yes. Well, that's it, and we're going to leave you with some Metallica. So, see you next week.
Till then, rock hard, rock heavy, rock Donington.
cut off electricity supplies to 4 vessels after the Navy stopped paying its bills.
I personally feel that this is probably the best band we can have right now because, A, we don't have, like, you know, a pretty boy playing guitar, you know. I mean, not that Marty's ugly, but, you know, it's like, you know, he's not into dippity doing his hair with mousse and shit like that, and B, you know, we have a real drummer that is a drummer first. He's not there for, like, you know, the sex and drugs that come along with rock and roll. Not that we're rock and roll, but you know what I mean. And I just feel, you know, I don't know how Dave feels about this, but I think for once we finally have a band where we have members that are equivalent to us at their instrument. Not necessarily with the road smarts, because you know you need a lot of time to get like that. I mean, Dave and I have like gone through a lot of stuff together. You know, we've gotten in a lot of problems with other people. You know. And, you know, it's like, I would never have gotten, you know, as concerned about the last two guys. I'm trying not to say their names. And it's hard.
No extra publicity.
I guess I could say Dick and Duck and that would cover it. But, you know, I would never have fought for them or stood up for them or anything like that. And the two new boys, it's like, you know, we just feel like we made the right decision. It took a while to get Nick actually into the band because he was sitting in the wings waiting for the last drummer to hang himself, and he basically did. You know, I mean, we needed to get like a serious hoist because the guy was kind of like to get him up in the air. But you know, anyways, getting a guitar player was the hardest thing for us.
Now it's like everybody can hold their own. You know, it's not so much about Dave and myself having to like keep the control over the band. Nick can hold his own, Marty can hold his own, and so it's four individuals that can make a band now instead of, you know, any type of like leadership like it used to be before.
Yeah, a lot of people say stuff like, oh yeah, well it's the Megadaves, you know, or even worse, they say it's Dave Mustaine's Megadeth, and I've always felt that, you know, this is Megadeth, or else it would be called Dave Mustaine's Ego Project, you know.
We were so, you know, so damn happy to be back in the studio again and be jamming. You know, it was good to be back in and doing that again, because it was like there was a lot of anticipation, there was a lot of, well, I hope we can pull this off, I hope we get it together. You really deep down inside knowing that we were going to, but it was just a lot of anticipation on getting it happening.
Well, there was moments for me where I was like pretty overwhelmed, you know, not so much as how great things were, but, you know, what kind of pressure it was, because before, you know, I'd figured, don't you know who I am? You know, hey, it doesn't matter if I play it right. I'm still me, okay, you know? You're lucky I'm playing on this record, you know, and I'm talking to myself. I'm going like, God, you're an idiot. You know, and now it's like I went in there and Mike Klink had produced the record, and, you know, I went in there with the attitude that I would take direction and, you know, not me be the one that has the final say, which was hard for me. But I think my playing's improved. Basically being tracked, it's definitely better. I hope that I can carry that out live.
With this album, Nick had been in the band like, you know, going on a year actually by the time, you know, so the three of Dave, myself, and Nick had been very well rehearsed. The songs were all written. When Marty came in, we still rehearsed for a couple more months, and I know it sounds like a lot of rehearsing, but it was, and it paid off because we went in and we knew exactly what we wanted to do. It was almost like we'd been a band for a long time, you know, even though it actually only been a couple months that all four of us had been playing together. But you know, just listening back to this album and comparing it to the other albums, especially the last album, I hear a really dark, kind of cynical sound that comes across from that. And that's cool because that's kind of what it was at the time. I mean, I think every album kind of like reflects where we were at that time. And I listened to it and it's a real dark sound. And this album, I think, has a lot more kind of upbeat, really a lot heavier sound to it as well, you know, sonically, and I think our attitude that comes across on it is a lot more, it's not so down. It's a little bit more up and a little bit more energetic. Actually, a lot more energetic. I think a lot of that too comes from, you know, from Nick's drumming too. He's got a lot of energy in his playing.
With this band, there's been one direction, always. And it doesn't matter who is behind that, what the energy is, you know, or where the actual thinking comes from. You know, as long as the direction is the same, you know, and whoever writes the music, if you know, someone else writes and contributes, that's fine. I've never, ever sat down and had a song just come out, you know, like that. That's for bands like Bon Jovi and Warrant to come up with these pop queer songs that, you know, just, you know, they can sit there and strum an acoustic and everything comes out fruity and la-la, you know. For me, a song has to be climactic. I think Rust in Peace to me is definitely indicative of the turmoil that we as humans have to deal with right now, having our global leaders playing Monopoly with our lifestyles, and their little war games have gotten a little bit serious when you think about one nuclear bomb ruining your whole day. I was driving home and I saw this bumper sticker that said Rust in Peace on it, and I just went like, light bulb science. Rest in peace. My idea behind that is that if the world ever did agree to have a global a system where we all survived under the moniker of being a peaceful world, all these weapons would be useless and they would therefore rust. But that's such a joke. That'll never happen. You know, I mean, unless Armageddon comes. It's like, see, like where I come from, the pigs walk around the streets. They're called peace officers. Why do they carry guns if they're peace officers? You know, I mean, it's just, it's so contradictory when you think about it. You know, it's, to me, war's good for the economy, and money sucks. So to me, I learned a serious lesson when we were in Ireland about my mouth and the damage that it could do for me, because someone had misled me about what the IRA and the English are all about, you know, with the war that's going on between them. He said it was just the Catholics and the Protestants not getting along. And I'm thinking, like, to myself, that's bullshit, that's prejudiced religion, you know, and you know, me, Dave Mustaine, you know, big mouth galore, you know, I started thinking, well, I'm gonna, like, straighten all those people out, you know, and I said something, you know, and God damn. You know, I never had wished I could get back in my bed in Los Angeles so fast in my life. Hey, there you go. I'll get it. Holy Wars was written and conceived within a period of hours after that. And we had taken direction from that experience that killing for religion is so stupid. You know, I mean, if there's a good reason behind it, go ahead. I guess, you know, what can I say? I don't want to die, but, you know, it's like, the song itself is just, it stems around all the wars that are going on, and basically, what does war start from? Religion and women.
As you all know, this is Bullseye's last ever appearance. 14.5 years rocking. His first one was Ozzy Osbourne and Motorhead at Port Vale. Will you please say bye-bye Bullseye? 1, 2, 3. I love you. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce 3 complete Irish bastards. The main reason why I have had to give up alcohol. This is Therapy!
I'm a love that's from above. Everyone wanting it for real, expecting devotion and love. Isolation, 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 isolation. Preservation, always the man of themselves. Touching perfection, this is not everything else. Isolation, 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 isolation. that I've been put through, ashamed of the person who I am. But if you could just see the beauty, these things could never describe. This is my wanton thinking, this is my wanton cry. Isolation, isolation, come on! Isolation, 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 isolation.
We're now joined by Michael from Therapy. So, are you excited?
I must admit, I'm quite excited. You know, it should be good fun. We're looking forward to it. Then it's crept up very quickly this year. It was like, all right, we're doing Donington, cool. Shit, we're here. Let's do it. So no, I'm very excited. Yeah.
Because it was all quite last minute, everything. Because it was on and off and everything. How did it all sort of finally get sorted?
Well, we'd heard like a load of rumours, you know, from whoever saying, you know, you might be getting Donington, blah blah blah, and then it just like about a month ago or so, a month and a half ago, it sort of came together. But it was until I saw the poster, I kind of believe it. You know, I'm kind of like, if someone says you're going to America next week, I need to be in the plane before I kind of accept the fact that we're going to wherever. So yeah, once I saw the poster, I thought, oh, we're doing Donington then, brilliant.
Because it's almost like a year ago since you did it last time, and you've moved way up the bill.
Yeah, we've popped up a few places to say the least. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Does that make a lot of difference to you, or are you just pleased?
Well, obviously I'm very, very flattered. You know what I mean? There's like a load of bands in the bill that are playing before us, you know, that I've been into for like years now.
Yeah.
Slayer and Machine Head and stuff like that. But, you know, I'm just really flattered to be in the position, and we're going to make the best of it. You know, a lot of people are saying, you know, what are you going to do and all this? You know, and we're just going to go out and play. You know,
How long's your set?
It's like 55 minutes.
Oh, that's quite good then, yeah. So what about the album? How's that doing? Is that doing really well?
It's doing really, really well.
Good.
The reaction has been really, really brilliant. It's like you're in the studio and you're doing your album and you're in your little world and everyone's like into what's going on. And then you sort of come out and think, all right, okay, other people are going to hear it. You know, you never really take other people's opinions into consideration. The feedback's been brilliant off it.
Yeah, that's really good. And you're out on tour in Europe as well with Skunk and Nancy.
Skunk and Nancy and Joyride are going out with us.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know,
and not many English dates after though yet. Are you going to sort those out? Or?
I'm not really sure. We'll probably do some more before the end of the year. It's just we tend to play a lot in the UK, and I never want to get to the point where it's like, yawn, here they come again.
Yeah.
You know, I want to make it, this next tour we'll do in the UK, make it quite special. Make it more of an event than just another concert.
Yeah.
So we're working on plans for that at this point in time now.
Brilliant. Okay, well, have a good one. And
Thank
thanks
you.
for talking
Cheers.
to us.
Let me try on your dress. It's been already a mess. But this kicking in. Smell the cider on your skin. You're not beating down. We're going out, so let's go out. We're going to live forever now. So let's make the most of it somehow. The body's blue. The body's blue. Going down. The body's blue. Going down. Today. I don't care where you're from. Whatever planet to take your heart. You're not supposed to care. I'm not going anywhere with you. Maybe you're still lonely. But I love you, you're my best friend. You look like sister and brother. According to all our friends. The body's blue. The body's blue. The body's blue. Today. Hey!
Action had to be done so as not.
It's not Matthew from Paradise Lost, or Tugs as he's known to us.
Absolutely.
How are you?
How you doing, Crusher? All right?
I'm doing very well. How are you
Good.
doing?
I'm feeling quite intoxicated at the moment, but apart from that, superb. The tour's been great. The people have been great, and I'm all the better for seeing you.
You've got a few more dates to do, haven't you?
Yeah. We've got a few more dates in Ireland and Scotland, and then we're going to do a few more festival dates throughout the course of this year. So hopefully it'll be okay.
And what are you up to after that?
Sorry?
What are you going to be up to after all of that?
We're going to release a live video, which is going to include live material and promo videos and interviews, and we're going to tour off the back of that and probably start working on new LP towards the end of the year.
Keeping very busy then.
Yes. I mean, we thought we had some time off now, but we're going to have to work the whole of the year. So.
Well, it keeps you out of trouble, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Richie will host the players, just so real.
Oh, the first time they asked me to look after the overseas clients and the car won't start. I'll have to call a cab.
Do you want to take the Fiesta? I'm working from home today.
Well, there are 3 of them. Okay, thanks.
Don't drive too fast.
If you haven't driven a Ford Fiesta lately, you're in for a few surprises. Like the convenience of power steering, the performance of its 16-valve engine, and the reassurance that comes from driving the first car in its class to have a driver's airbag as standard. It's much more of a car. With more room in the back than you might expect.
Hiya! Hi. Well, the garage rang. Your car won't be ready tomorrow. I've booked you a cab.
The Ford Fiesta. It's much more of a car.
Darling, can you get me a size 12? This one's a bit tight. Do you need any help?
Oh, yes. I'm looking for a size 12. This one's a bit tight.
Mrs. P, the gentleman says this one's a bit tight. Do we have it in a bigger size?
Time for a sharp exit. Time for a cool, sharp harp.
It looks more like a size 14 to me.
It was a real challenge. Develop a new towel for Kotex that fits better to protect better. But how? Make it curved. Women are. The first towel to be soft and gently gathered, designed to fit the body for real protection. Kotex curved towels, in super and now new normal. Confidently Kotex.
Hey, I like you.
I like you too.
Let's get together, babe.
Now it's your turn. Get a date. Call 0891 333 888.
Being a designer, I'm not surprised how fast fashions change, but I was surprised that Ariel colour changed so soon. Old Ariel colour has been replaced with an improved Ariel colour, which has been redesigned with an added oil disperser. I've insisted on testing this claim on today's synthetic sportswear. We've been using the toughest big box powder on this top, and we've washed this one in new Ariel colour. Do your worst, boys. After one wash, the big box powder slipped up on oil. It's still there. But new Ariel colour lived up to its claim. So if you don't want to change your gear, change to new Ariel colour. I have. On today's synthetic sportswear, new Ariel colour's better at dispersing oil-based stains without bleaching colours.
It doesn't cost anything to dial 999. You don't need a card or a coin. Don't leave it to someone else.
Say
joined by Danny and Jamie from Taiketo. Now, we just saw your video. That's apparently going to be a single soon, yeah?
Yeah, just coming out now. We managed to, since last we saw you, we got home for, I think 3 days, in which time we got to call up a director and run down to the Jersey Shore and shoot a video real fast. So.
That's really good. So how's the tour been going? Because we're sort of in the middle now of the tour. How's it been going?
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah?
Wonderful. Yeah, it's just the crowds here are excellent, very vocal, and they've been very appreciative of having us here.
Because you're the new guy in the band, really, aren't you?
Yeah,
so,
this is my first time over here.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So have you played much in the States over the band?
Yeah, I've played all around the States in cover bands and different bands when I was younger and stuff. But yeah, it's my first time over here, having a blast.
I sort of warned him about there's something, whether it's in the water or the air, whatever it is, but for some reason over here, UK audiences can all sing, everyone, and on key. So we do stuff here we would never dare try in the States with just singing and just messing about with the audience. And it really is kind of amazing when all this comes back at you.
Brilliant. So you're planning to come back again then soon?
Yeah, it's looking like, don't quote me, but looking like June, where we will come through again.
Okay, well we're going to see the title track now from your album. So
right, this is it, live from Bradford in Rios. This is Strength in Numbers.
Lord, give me strength tonight!
hotel gardens in Los Angeles to Gilby, all about the latest album, the Spaghetti Incident, and how it feels to play guitar in one of the biggest bands, Guns N' Roses.
You know, when I first got in the band, I wasn't sure if it was, you know, going to make it through the week, and sometimes you can never really tell how long it's going to go. But as time went on and I got to actually know the guys a little better by spending every day with them, I can really tell that, like, you know, Axl wants this band to go on forever. It's like everybody thinks we're going to self-destruct. It's like he's out to prove everybody that we can last, you know, as long as a band like the Stones or something did, you know. And everybody's really determined to just keep going and just keep getting better. I mean, I think, you know, bands like the Stones, you know, they go through their moments, but, you know, when they had, like, Mick Taylor and they got a new guitar player, I mean, they wrote some of their best music they've ever done, I think. So, I don't know, I was, you know, at first I didn't really know, but now I think, you know, I think we're going to be around for a while.
Yesterday, there were so many things I was never told. Now that I'm keep on moving along with no time to plant my feet. 'Cause yesterday's got nothing for me. Oh, pictures that I'll always see. Some things could be better if we don't just let them be. Yesterday's got nothing for me.
The album, The Spaghetti Incident, is still fairly new in Britain anyway. Did you have a big hand as well in choosing what went on that album?
In a way, most of the stuff was recorded, before I was in the group, and then when I got in the band, I came in and I redid all the guitar tracks and everything, and then we didn't really like all the stuff that was down, so we just kept going in little by little while we were on the road. We'd cut some here in Boston, and we'd cut some in LA, and we'd go to New York and do a little bit here and there. So it just kind of stockpiled as time went on, to pick all the songs and stuff. And the song actually that I picked didn't make the record.
Oh, what was that?
I wanted to do Jail Guitar Doors by The Clash, and it didn't make it.
So what was your favourite on the album then?
My favourite, I think, is Down on the Farm, by the UK Sub song. I think that's my favourite one.
Were you like a real punk then in the 70s?
No, not really a punk. I mean, it's funny is when all the songs that are on the record came out except for the old 50s song. I mean, I remember them all coming out and stuff. And I liked punk rock. I had an English girlfriend actually, like during that time, so she kept me up to what was going on. Because in America, you guys were ahead of us and stuff as far as punk rock, and we got a little late. But I kept up with it, but I didn't have like short cropped hair or something. I always had pretty long hair.
Bondage trousers.
Yeah, I did have bondage trousers.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming down. Terrific night. Yes, I must congratulate you on your waistcoat here, and in fact, this little a bit of fakery here, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed, Andy Coffin, not a cheap man, but a great bloke to say. Anyway, we'll leave you with a cut tonight by Taiketo. I think it's Forever Young, eh?
Forever Young, and thanks Nottingham Rock City.
Indeed. Good night.
Tables late, trying to stay tough, never ending, however long she waits, it's just not enough. He's sleeping late, no work around, broken dreams come tumbling down. He's been down every road and been so dead.
Making a record or something is something we'd never done, or I'd never done.
it's pretty much concrete. You know, once it's down, it's down. So the type of personality that I have, it didn't lend itself to just kind of trusting anything to go right. It was very much an arduous process of you know, making sure that what was left was something that I could be proud of. The only thing different now, just after playing these songs live in the last year, would maybe, you know, if you had a setting on your record player, just play it a little faster, you know. But no, I'm proud of the record. Somebody said, I think somebody from the Chili Peppers, they said, you know what's really cool is that people are saying, you know, this is the coolest thing that Stone and Jeff have ever done, when usually it's always the other way. Just out of fashion, everyone says, yeah, you know, this thing's good, but you know, when Mother Love Bone played, that was, you know, and I think people were just really happy. You know, it wasn't Stone and Jeff's fault, it wasn't Bruce and Greg's fault, you know, what happened with Love Bone when, you know, the head got cut off of their music or whatever. I think everyone, right from the beginning, even the people in Seattle, they were just happy to see them. People listen to music for different reasons. Some people, it's background music. You know, some people, they don't, but other people need it to survive. Other people need music to get things out. And
get it out.
Maybe that's just where I'm coming from, you know, when things weren't easy for me. Growing up, you know, music, I felt, saved my life. Pete Townsend, wherever you are, Pete, saved my life. You know, whether he knows it or not, I wouldn't be here. And I had absolutely nothing else besides music. And so that's still, you know, that's in me. And so if we're going to play, if we're going to get up and play, or write a song, you know, write about something that means something, you know, why write about, you know, a pretty day, or pretty girl, or pretty people? There's nothing, I don't know, I personally, you know, again, people have different reasons for listening and playing, but I need to, for me it's much more religious.
Phil Lynott's last ever television interview was conducted just a few weeks ago by Dante Benuto for Music Box. Dante talked to Phil about his attempts to get a new career and a new band underway after the demise of Thin Lizzy.
When Thin Lizzy finally split up, you put together a band called Grand Slam, who toured quite a bit, and I did some demos, I would imagine, but never signed a major record deal. And yet now you've gone solo from Grand Slam and the band don't exist, you've signed with Polydor. Why couldn't Grand Slam get a recording contract?
I don't know. I mean, Grand Slam couldn't get a deal at all. And then a couple of the lads got bored and, you know, they left, so I was forced to go solo. The minute I went solo, people started offering me deals. I got a deal with Polydor. I got, you know, Carrie asked me to do some stuff with him. I was working with Paul Hardcastle. Been writing some stuff with Rick Parfitt from Status Quo. You know, and all these things start happening to me since I went solo. But I think maybe Grand Slam suffered the backlash from the Thin Lizzy support, because obviously a band that potentially could be good compared to, you know, a band that had been around like 12 years with a string of hits, you know, and doing completely opposite venues, because Lizzy were playing major venues and Grand Slam were doing sort of smaller venues. I just don't think Grand Slam won in the comparison, so.
Also, you had the same formation as Thin Lizzy with two guitar players and yourselves doing bass and vocals. Do you think maybe people couldn't accept seeing you outside of Thin Lizzy because they'd become such an institution?
I don't know. You know, like, this is all supposition. You know, all I'm saying is that Grand Slam couldn't get a deal, you know, when the band, maybe we were bad, you know, maybe people just genuinely didn't like it, but I mean, I was giving it 100%, and then when it fell through, like, things started to happen, and I landed on my feet.
Well, the material sounds good, because Military Man was from Grand Slam, and so was 19, I understand, was another Grand Slam song. Yeah. So obviously the songs are quite strong.
Yeah, which I wrote, you know, but there you go. I mean, we were trying, and we just didn't get a deal. Do you think now I have? Buy my records.
Do you think we'll ever see Thin Lizzy back on the stage again, or is that now something completely in your past?
There was something in the paper, in the Daily Mirror yesterday, I think, saying that Thin Lizzy were going to get back together again. And there was a quote from the management saying that we might get together to do a charity thing. We all keep in close communication. I mean, I was working with Scott recently, and Brian Downey is going to play. See, I'm going to get a band together for March and tour with me. the album. I have another single coming out in January. I'm doing another single with Carrie in January.
Right.
So I'm going to get a band together, and Brian Downey has said he'll work in it.
Oh, he's definitely going to be the drummer then?
Yeah, so he said he will. So.
And will this be a band featuring 2 guitarists again? That was kind of the Lizzie trademark, the 2 guitarists.
I may go for the 2 guitar thing. I don't know. At the moment, I'm just in the process of working it out, you know, like I'm checking out guitar players and keyboard players. And I really, what I want to do is finish the album. When I get the album finished, then I'll know what I need in the band to promote the album.
Right.
And so, really, but as far as Lizzie's getting back together again, I mean, we haven't thought about getting back together again. I'd like to establish like a solo career first before, you know, I'd start to live off past glories, you know.
You say you're putting together a band at the moment. Will that be called the Phil Lynott Band, or will there be another name for it?
I don't know, because, I mean, the album's going to be a Philip Lynott solo album. Once I get, you know, minor details like what it's going to be called, it doesn't matter to me, you know. Like, I mean, it probably will be Philip Lynott, and, you know, I mean, it depends, really. When I'm in a band situation, regardless of who's up front, or I like it to work, I like it to be give and take from all the musicians in the band. I don't like a dogmatic structure where I go, you play this and play the same thing every night. I like people to give input, because the bass is part of the rhythm section, so it plays behind the voice or the lead guitar. So as a bass player, I like to play with the musicians, and obviously as a singer, you know, front it, you know. So when I do get a band together, I'll be working on that basis, but probably it will be Philip Lynott and
whoever.
Mr. X, you know, whatever, yeah.
Is the album...
And Thin Lizzy. Joke.
Is the album going to feature a stable set of people on each song, or will there be special guest appearances from different people?
I'd like to take advantage of the fact that, you know, I'm solo and free to work with whoever I want, so I'll try and get special guests, so like John Sykes or Brian Downey and Carrie and, you know, just various different people. I'll try and get people that suit the particular songs that are going to be on the album.
And what sort of material will that be? Will it be very varied, or will it be more aggressive?
Well, I like, with the album, the producers that I'm going to use on the album, I'd like to go over the material with each individual producer. For example, they have Tom Dowd, who does like Phil Collins and Eric Clapton, and he did Molly Hatchet.
Molly Hatchet, yeah.
He's been around ages. Now, he likes certain songs that I've written, because of, you know, it's 2 years since Lizzie broke up, I do have a lot of songs written. So I'll go with the songs he likes, if I like them, and get them ones produced. And the same, say I got Peter Collins to finish off the rest of the production, or I'll go with that. But in general, it should be more balanced than, say, my other solo albums, because when I had the other solo albums, I was in Thin Lizzy, and Thin Lizzy took all the heavy stuff, and I got all the fish that John West rejected. And so my solo albums were much softer than I was, whereas this time there should be a better balance. There should be more upfront hard stuff and a couple of ballads maybe thrown in.
I understand you've done some writing with Huey Lewis. Will any of that appear on the album?
I've done some recording with Huey Lewis. We didn't write anything together. He was producing some stuff. He took me out to San Francisco. He wanted me to try one of his songs, and he liked one of the songs I'd written, so we got together and did that. And everybody seems to like it, so that may end up on the album. I'm not really sure at the moment. What I really want to do is get in and have it on tape, and then pick the best from what I've done.
That LP was never finished due to Lynott's death, which may be attributed to his addiction problems. He attended a drug rehabilitation centre in 1982 for treatment, but was arrested a number of times since for possession of cannabis, cocaine, and the killer drug heroin.
Phil, you've got a single out at the moment called 19, which is quite an aggressive, punchy little number. Did you think it was time you showed the world that you're still a rocker at heart?
Yeah, so I suppose so. The point was that I got a solo deal, And I figured that the first, because this is the first single I've released since, on my own, since Thin Lizzy broke up.
Right.
So I did think that I should establish that, you know, I was rocking, rather than come out with a ballad or something, you know.
It's produced, of course, by Paul Hardcastle, who's also had a hit with a song of a similar name, in fact the same name, 19. That's quite a surprising choice, really. Did you not think of using a more established heavy rock producer to produce, as you said, your first post-Lizzy single?
Well, one of the things about the heavy metal productions, I think, they're becoming very bland, and I wanted to experiment with the production of it, you know, just with people like Van Halen working with, you know, Michael Jackson, and like ZZ Top doing dance mixes and stuff like that. I thought when we were looking for a producer, obviously because the title was the same, I mean, that's how Paul Hardcastle came about, and I knew he was available to do productions. And I thought it'd be interesting if he put some sort of scratch mixes or dance mixes to a hard rock song. So that was my reasons for asking him, and then he accepted because he wanted to show that he produced more than just dance records, you know. And he liked a lot of Thin Lizzy stuff, like Johnny the Fox meets Jimmy the Wade and stuff. He used to like all that. So he was very keen to show, you know, to spread his wings and do some other stuff. So when I turned up, he ended up playing keyboards, and he's a very good keyboard player. And I got Robin George because he was, you know, the available guitar player. Gary was busy at the time, and some other friends of mine were busy at the time. So, and I played on Robin George's stuff, so we got Robin George down because I wanted somebody I knew.
I thought you might have asked John Sykes, actually, if he was...
Well, he was away. He was in Vancouver doing some stuff with...
oh, he's played with Whitesnake, isn't he? Yeah.
So I ended up Robin. So it was good, though. I mean, it turned out really well.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of experimentation going on. The B-side of the 12-inch version has a dub mix, which is something you rarely see in heavy rock. Do you think there's a serious place for that kind of production in the rock world, or is it just a novelty, a bit of fun?
I wanted to experiment with it. I think there probably is. Like, I do believe that heavy metal productions have become fairly bland, and there's not enough rock in the charts. And I think the same with the single that Gary Moore and myself did together.
That's Out in the Fields and Military Man.
Yeah, we got a contemporary producer like Peter Collins who does Nick Kershaw, just to give it sort of a different atmosphere rather than a bland, you know, just the way you imagine heavy metal to sound. So I just thought it would be neat to experiment with the productions. There is so much new technology, so I thought, why not experiment around it?
We should explain why the single is called 19. Is it to do with the age 19?
It's to do with the aggression of the age of 19. Also, there was a biker gang that when I was in America, I was in a bar, and these Hells Angels walked into the bar, and this guy had 19. They must have been the 19th chapter or something. And they walked in, this guy came into the bar and walked into the bar and banged his fist on the bar and went, you know, I'm bad, give me a beer. You know, and from that I got the inspiration for the song. And then, you know, the song, say, as opposed to, say, Paul Hardcastle's, which is, you know, was a fact that the average age, you know, mine was just about the aggression of feeling 19.
You mentioned about these bikers in Los Angeles, I think, and you went to America to shoot the video to back up the single.
Yeah, the original bikers I seen was in Texas, but when it came time to do the video, I thought it would be good to have, you know, instead of making a glamour video with like lots of pretty girls and stuff, I thought I'd make a macho one without being chauvinistic. And so I went for Men and Machines, and because there is bikes all over, you know, the record, I thought it would be good to go somewhere where they hadn't got the helmet laws, you know, and try and get a Hells Angel gang and show Harley Davidsons.
So that's a genuine Hells Angels gang in the video?
Well, some of them are, and some of them are extras. I mean, the guy I'm cruising around with at the end is one of the guys that was an extra, is the bass player from Twisted Sister.
Mark the Animal.
Yeah.
Twisted Sister.
Well, he's on the bike there too. You know, he's an extra in it, so he's part of the Hells Angel gang in this particular video.
In this, the final section of Phil Lynott's last TV interview, Dante asks Phil if perhaps he's attempting to break down musical barriers in the way Elvis Presley did.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not so much that I'm trying to break down the barriers. I do, because I've always liked different types of music, you know. Like, I mean, I think one of the things that the music papers and the media in general do to the detriment is, like, they make things separatist, like Kerrang only does heavy metal and NME only sort of does left wing off the wall, you know, musical stuff like that. So I've always been able to say, like, say, a dance record to a punk record to a rock song. I happen to be, my forte happens to be playing rock music, you know, but I see no reason why. Every time there is a breakdown of, you know, like when Elvis did sort of country and western and sort of black music by one artist, it broke down barriers. When Hendrix, you know, messed around with, you know, fusions and stuff, I always think something new comes out of it, and I've always, you know, I mean to continue to with the manner to which I've become accustomed.
It was that manner in which Phil had become accustomed that finally killed Phil Lynott. It was also the subject matter to many of his songs. Phil Lynott was admired by many, and will be missed by many more.
Might as well bring the chord down. You can always hear the kid call. You can always hear the kid call. I cried the night the kid died. You can always hear the kid call.
Welcome to the Powerhouse. The next 2 weeks we're in Birmingham, Edwards number 8. So we're going to be partying. We've got loads of brilliant videos and an interview with Magnum. Are we having fun?
Oh, yes, we are, Nicky, my little sweetness.
And Crush is not wearing this t-shirt for nothing, are you? I mean,
No.
we are dripping here.
Losing pounds.
But we're having a good time.
Yes, we are. I believe, are we going to go into White Snake still of the night or something like that?
Yes, and then we're going to go and party. Well, that was Tesla, modern day cowboy. Now I've been joined by Willie from The Grip. How are you, Willie?
I'm absolutely groovy, if you really want to know. Having a fab time here in Brummyland.
It's pretty good up here in Birmingham, isn't it?
It's marvellous, but they speak with strange accents, but we won't hold that against them. What do you say?
No, I mean, I'm sure they think we talk pretty funny as well.
Well, you certainly do, but I like to think that I'm fairly normal.
Now, what are we going to see now?
Well, now we've got the hot new one from Leatherwolf, and it's called Hideaway. Needlework, advanced cookery classes, that sort of thing.
Domesticating yourself?
Yeah, aside from that, a little bit of touring, you know, the sort of usual band stuff, up and down the country, playing England, Scotland, Wales, doing very well, thank you.
Have you been to Birmingham, though, recently?
Played Birmingham in April, I believe it was, had a smashing night, in fact, in this very venue where we are tonight in Edwards number 8, smashing night.
This place holds fond memories.
It does, fond memories and other sort of stuff that we won't go into because it's public TV.
Right now, what video are we going to see now?
Smashing little troupe. I'm rather fond of this little batch. Very cheap video, made for under a £1 sterling, but don't hold that against them. This is The Grip, that's me, and The Teenage Bride.
Now we've got some Def Leppard coming up of the Brilliant Hysteria album, one of my favourite albums. One of yours?
Oh, absolutely, I agree. From Sheffield all the way to the top, Def Leppard. I think there's a...
We've got one of our most popular requests, Anthrax, who apparently did not appreciate all the spitting in Dublin. And who can blame them? It's pretty disgusting. Here again in Birmingham next week. We've had a great time, haven't we?
Oh, yes, Nicky, we've had a wonderful time, I must admit.
And next week we'll be interviewing Wolfsbane, but we'll see you later. We're going to go off and party, and we'll leave you with another brilliant video.
Worldside Motley Crue.
Same place next week. Bye.
Please, if you can tell us the answer to this question.
Good flavor.
Coming up, your favorite interview moments on Power Picks 88. 88 because I was there in a lot of these wonderful moments that happened during interviews. Or there's also some very deadly moments that happen in interviews when you get a band that has nothing to say, never will have anything to say, and certainly if they ever did, wouldn't dare open their mouths on TV when they're supposed to be saying it. Very frustrating. We got a lot of letters about your favorite interviews and what we should be playing, and unfortunately we don't have time to play any in their entirety, of course. A lot of you wrote and said that Kiss was your favorite thing, especially the Kiss special we did. A lot of the rest of you wrote and said, why do a Kiss special? I'm so sick of seeing that band. You just can't please anybody. But we did put together a little montage of what you thought were some of your favorite interviews. We've got more coming up a little later, but we thought first we'd just let you in on a few of these more interesting clips from our past year on the Pepsi Power Hour. Here they are.
Nice to have you back in Canada, and welcome to Much Music.
Thank you very much, Steve.
No, Christopher.
Christopher.
Thank you, Steve. Christopher. No, Christopher. We got it right now? All right, yes. Okay, it's usually Laurie, but that confusion is eradicated.
Okay, well,
so.
we can call him Desmond.
Yeah, oh, fine. I grew up here, so nobody would mistake me for Laurie, just so you know.
Oh, Laurie.
Yes,
I remember
she's usually her.
Yeah.
Well, she'll be back next week.
She has a beard, though.
No, not anymore. She shaved it off.
She lent it to you. You just said
she
so.
did.
Also, it's hard to understand, really, if, I know for all those who are familiar with the Love at First Sting cover, for example, it's hard to understand that they ban these from the shops and have next door, imagine any shopping mall, next door newspaper shop, and you have all these Hustler, Penthouse, and Playboy magazines. You know, and they are much more offensive than our cover could ever be. So, you know, what's the story behind that?
I take my music so serious and the lyrics so serious, and I have a lot to say because, you know, I have so much inspiration and I meet lots of people, and I want to express myself through the lyrics, and for me music is everything. It's my love, and to write lyrics, you know, I can free myself, and this is very important.
That's where, like, all these, you know, these censorship groups come in, is because they're sitting there, they pick out one band like that that's sitting there singing about Satanism and black magic or anything along that sort of line, and then they're going, yeah, well, you know, this band is influencing my kid in a bad way, and that's where all that stuff comes along. That's why we wrote Hook and Mouth, because we're not a band that's doing that. Like I said earlier, I think we deal with worldly topics and, you know, more personal life experiences that are harmless. You know, I don't think anybody can read our lyrics and say, oh my God, this is the way. Oh my, this is it. I'm going to commit suicide over this. I think that's really stupid. And again, I'm sure there are a few people that will.
How does it feel, Miss M, to be on the receiving end of the might of Capitol Records? Shortly before the next video, you will see Miss M in a state of dire ecstasy. The next video is AC/DC Vampire video.
It's always been the women, it always will be the women. Right before I die, the very last breath out of my mouth is going to be girls, and then boom, out. I think it's the first reason musicians put guitars around their necks, and it's no matter how even politically oriented you are. You could be, you know, the people are starving in Ethiopia. At the end of the night, he wants to go back to the hotel and have a beautiful girl there. Oh, oh yes, everybody's starving, and everybody's poor. And in the back of his mind, I wonder if I look cool.
The real love of what we're doing is as strong as it ever was. The real energy and the commitment and all those other things that come into keeping the band together is still there. And beyond that, of course, the fact that the people out there want the Priest and come to see us in concert is the all-important thing. Without these guys, we simply have no reason to carry on. So it's a bit of a heavy metal love affair.
I think I've broken new ground, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like it's a field wide open, you know, girl, rock and roll, plays guitar. There's a lot of female singers, but not a lot of them play guitar. So I guess it's okay, you know, for somebody to come along and sort of break the ice.
There's got to be something about your band that you have mystique. You've also got to have an outrageousness about your band, and that's, you don't have to, but that's the way our band likes to project itself.
Yeah, I think more than anything, we've always been a theatrical band. You know, we were influenced by all. I mean, obviously, we don't look like Alice Cooper, you know, or we don't look like Kiss, really. But you know, there was. I don't think you should be afraid to show your influences. I think that's what they're there for.
We're very anxious to go back in the studio, and in fact, our next album is going to sound like Prince. I mean, we want to be original. We really do.
I think that's a great idea.
Don't you think? In fact, since for all those critics out there, for all those writers, right? Since they have a hard time talking about anything else but comparing new bands with older bands, we just been on the Monsters of Rock. So I think we're gonna sound just like Van Halen.
And we're going into the bathroom. Okay, here we go. Here we have the sink. Now this is the pump switch that keeps being left on now that we don't want it to. It's off. Well, it's off now. Now these are Robert's performance pants, which, as you can see, are kind of wet, but they're drying. So you know, well, I want to give you a privileged inside view. There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
That's where the heart of the matter is.
Yes, that's right. And there you have it. The tour. You know, I think it rivals any major castle around the world. Can Hearst? I think it rivals Hearst.
I think we're dangerous to anybody that's not into rock and roll. Anybody that's into rock and roll knows that we're just rock and rollers, and with a very sick mind. That's all. We're just a little twisted.
Words of wisdom, wouldn't you say, from all kinds of people. But, you know, out of all the letters that we got for Power Picks 88, you seem to want to see 2 interviews more than any other 2 interviews, and they were Def Leppard and also AC/DC. Now, there are an awful lot of Def Leppard and AC/DC fans out there, so we thought that that's exactly what we'd play. Michel Lamoureux writes that he watches the Power Hour every week, and there's just one little minor detail that's wrong with the Power Hour, and that we just don't play enough AC/DC videos. Yeah, we get a lot of letters like this. Thank you, Michelle. We are going to be playing some of that right now for you. Also, Def Leppard, Kelsey Kimball writes that we must play some Def Leppard on her Power Picks 88. She is from Georgia, and she watches much music, far more than she watches MTV. It's the only place she can get to see alternative videos and really good metal videos, so we must be playing more Def Leppard for her. Also, Kelly Dixon writes that her favorite interview was Michael Williams and Def Leppard, also Laurie Brown and Def Leppard. I don't think it was so much that Mike and I did the interview, but, you know, it was like who we were interviewing. Okay, I can handle that. So we're going to play Def Leppard for her. Gloria Weiss is a big fan of the Pepsi Power Hour, and she writes that some of the best interviews she'd seen on Much were Def Leppard. You know, the one with Rick and Joe Elliott, that one had to be the best. She said she waited up until 3 a.m. to see that one. The interview with Angus Young of AC/DC was cool, but I wish Mike Williams could have talked to Brian Johnson. When Laurie Brown talked to Rudolph and Matthias of the Scorpions, that was a blast too. We got a little piece of that in there. So we're going to play some Def Leppard for Gloria. And also we got one other interesting letter from Stephen Maidment of Galt, Ontario, who says the best interview was definitely Gene Simmons of Kiss. But overall, he's talking about metal for 1988. This was the best year ever in metal. Guns N' Roses sell 5 million, Poison 2 million, Metallica 1 million in just 9 weeks. It was great to see Guns N' Roses win Best New Group on MTV Video Awards. They deserve it. Best concert this year for Stephen was the Judas Priest at the CNE in Toronto.
Thanks for watching this edition of When British TV Rocked. Join us again next time when we'll be looking at another iconic television show from the 70s and 80s.